Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining our town hall. I'm sorry I got distracted right there. I guess Zoom is now requiring me as the administrator to authorize people to connect. So it just popped up right as I was getting started. Sorry about that. Welcome to our newest town hall. Today is one that is near and dear to my heart because it's been one that I've been thinking about doing for quite a while since this coronavirus started. And we're just going to talk about all the different ways that people are helping others during this time and how you can do it safely. And hopefully through our talk, I know for sure you're going to meet two amazing people who are out there doing it, but hopefully we inspire you to help in your own way, whatever that is that's right for you. And that's the goal today. So we're spreading some love and hoping that you guys pick it up. So today my guests are Chun Rosenkranz. He is the founder of the I'll Be There project. He is in New York City, and he also works with the Bronx Defenders. And recently he was interviewed on CBS there in New York City. That's how wonderful of a person he is. So thank you, Chun. I really appreciate you joining me.
No, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
And Sam Fullam. Sam is running the South Central PA COVID-19 response group. So she's here in Central PA in the Harrisburg area. She's also the founder of Samantha's Free Store, and she is an amazing community organizer and an amazing person as well. So thanks for joining me, Sam.
Maddie.
So I'd just like to, we can start with Chun. If you could just kind of tell everybody what the I'll Be There project is and what you are doing right now in the coronavirus crisis that we're having.
Sure. So the short story of how the I'll Be There project was started is that a little bit over 12 years ago, I was arrested for charges related to my addiction. And I spent a year in jail. And during that time, I had friends and family. Everybody was getting married and graduating from school. And, you know, I'm sitting in Indian River County jail in an orange jumpsuit, just with no self-worth and no belief that I mattered at all. And I couldn't even really fathom a life beyond my addiction and where I was going. And I'm a Harry Potter freak. I would wait outside the lines when each new book was released. And during my incarceration, the 7th and final book was released. And you cannot receive hardcover books while you're in jail because they're believed that they can be used as weapons. And so without me knowing it, my friend went to the library and she Xeroxed all 759 pages of the final Harry Potter book and sent them into the jail in 200-page installments. And not only did it change my life, but we would pass the pages around from cell to cell at night, and you would hear grown men, you know, crying or laughing in the middle of the night. And for someone to kind of see me when I felt like most broken and most worthless, and to reach their hand out, absolutely changed my life. Since then, I started obviously on probation and living in a halfway house, and then went to community college, and then state school, and then got to move up to New York and go to an Ivy League school to do my master's. And all of that really has to do with a community of people offering me unconditional compassion and kindness, again, when I didn't believe that I deserved it. And so now I'm 12 years sober, social worker, and I really wanted to do this project outside of my profession, and have it be a little bit more scrappy and on the ground, to remind people of their worth and their value, especially if they're experiencing some type of either substance use disorder or homelessness or any of the myriad of things that take place when human beings are not in a great place in their life, and just reach out a hand and offer some unconditional love.
That's amazing. And I don't know, what I'll do after this gets recorded and it's on Facebook, I'll put the link on there to your different not your different nonprofits, you and Sam. And I really encourage people to go look and see what you all are doing, because it really is amazing. Chun, you do a lot with the homeless in New York City. And can you just tell everybody about your sandwich program that you're doing right now? Because I think it's really awesome.
Sure. So I put a blast out on Facebook and Instagram, kind of when in early March, when we knew that the virus was going to be coming to New York, and obviously our most vulnerable populations were going to be hit hardest. And I asked people to send me immune supplies, vitamin C, elderberry gummies, basically whatever you felt like would help somebody's immune system. Help me get them, and I would start passing them out. And so I did that for, let's see, 2 weeks. I mean, people sent from Europe. I mean, it was crazy. My entire kitchen was just like filled with immune supplies, and I couldn't get them out fast enough. And then from that, I knew that I was putting myself at risk by handing those out. So I had prepared food-wise, and I started to feel symptoms 3 days after I had run out of all the supplies and I had passed everything out. And then quarantined for 3 weeks. I had tested positive during that time. I was one of the few lucky ones who was actually able to get a test in New York City. And so after getting the go-ahead from my doctor, I took a walk and I saw all of these people experiencing homelessness. I talked to some of them. They had closed the bathrooms down, so they didn't have any access to water or food. People were leaving the shelters, obviously, because it was spreading like wildfire within the shelter. So people are just like sleeping on the concrete. And you have all the businesses closed and people that they rely on to, give them $1 or some change. Everybody was quarantined, and these people didn't have any place to quarantine. So I wanted to make sandwiches. I wanted to give them food and get them supplies. And I didn't want to give them, I mean, I'd spent a year in jail, so I know what sandwiches taste like when people think that you don't have value or worth. And so I wanted to do the opposite of that. And so we were making gourmet sandwiches. I have a friend who has a farm in North Carolina, and she sent up boxes and boxes of handmade cheese, and lettuce, tomato, obviously, and then good meat and healthy bread. And then on each sandwich, because this is kind of a unique time, the helpers are kind of confined to be indoors right now. There's so the people who would normally be out there with me couldn't be there. So all they could really do was donate or support or share what I was doing. And so on each of the sandwiches, it either says like, "You matter, love the person who donated," or "I love you, love whoever it is." And yeah, so every day except for 1 day a week, I've decided now, because I was going crazy and I needed to like put my own oxygen mask on. I go out and pass out over 100 sandwiches. And a doctor recently just made me bags and bags of these with hand sanitizers and masks and gloves to also give out to them. Yeah, so that's basically what I'm doing right now.
You say that so casually. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I have seen your sandwiches and your line that you do it. You have, well, at least earlier on, you were having people help you do it. Are you doing it by yourself now, or?
Yeah, my boyfriend and another friend who had tested positive and recovered helped me for 2 days, and all the other days I've done it by myself.
Wow.
Which is totally fine. I mean, I am out of work. I can't get unemployment on the phone right now. So, I mean, this is what I have to do. This is how I can help. I have the antibodies in my system now. So I'm still taking all the precautions. I wear a mask and gloves when I go out there. But like you were saying in the beginning, I think like in times of crisis, humanity really shows up at its best self.
Yeah.
And you're seeing all of these incredible stories. I mean, this 20-year-old college kid started this organization called Invisible Hands here in New York City to get elders their groceries so they don't have to come out. And now over 1,700 young people are like grocery shopping and dropping off groceries for all these people.
That's awesome.
Every night at 7 o'clock, I mean, you can hear the ambulances just kind of like whirling by every 5 minutes, which is heartbreaking. And then every night at 7 o'clock, the whole city erupts with pots and pans, people banging and screaming outside their windows, clapping for the health workers for the change of shifts.
Wow.
And so I think it's really important to like, yes, it's a hard time right now. Yes, we're all being called to stay in and take care of each other. But I think it's also a really beautiful time in seeing how people are showing up for each other.
I agree completely, especially coming from where we were, right, with all the different political agendas and the bipartisan hate and, you know, the us versus them mentality. Like, it does my heart good to know that all of this humanity was there, you know, still it hadn't died off. You know, people haven't been so disenfranchised that they've lost their will, you know, to step in and help others. That really makes my heart happy. And it's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, because we can all do our part. It may seem simple to you, and it may seem like, oh, it's not going to help anything. But, you know, when you put a lot of people together doing a little bit of things, it really adds up to some amazing stuff. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any idea how many sandwiches you've passed out at this point?
Oh my God. I mean, well over 1,500.
Wow.
It's, yeah, each day. It's like, so what I do is I listen to Brene Brown or some other like soothing, calming podcast
Yeah.
while I make the sandwiches. And then I always make over 100. And then the passing out is actually the easier, quicker part of the whole thing, just because the need is so great right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say the shopping takes me about half hour. Making the sandwiches takes about 4 hours. And then passing out is like an hour.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing.
But
And
people have been incredible, like donating and sharing and sending messages of support, like the outpouring, and lots of people have lost their jobs, and even people who have lost their jobs have been like sending, you know, $10, like, or like a message of like, here, will you write this on a sandwich? I don't have any money to give, but will you tell somebody I love them?
yeah.
I mean, it's been so beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And you definitely inspire me, because I encourage everybody to follow Chun on Facebook and the I'll Be There project.
Oh my God, I'm a total weirdo on social media. I still don't have any idea what I'm doing. So bear with me with all of that.
You know, but that's where you put out your requests for help too, right?
Yeah.
So I'll put the I'll Be There project on my link so that people can find it, because that's how we can help. You know, a lot of us are staying inside and following, you know, the social distancing guidelines, and some of us, you know, rightfully so, are afraid that, you know, we're going to get the coronavirus, and they don't want to take that chance, and that's understandable. But there are still ways that we can help, and finding those messages on Facebook, like, hey, I'm doing this, you could pitch in. That is a way that you can do it from your couch and make a huge difference. So
yeah, I have friends who've been DMing me on Instagram asking me, okay, so what can I do in my neighborhood? I'm afraid to go outside, but what can I do? And so I ask them where they live, and then I Google a senior center in their area and talk to the administrator and ask if it's possible, if they have any lonely seniors or people who are homebound who like need a phone pal or a pen pal, you know, if they'd be willing to connect. And so then we really do have to be creative in this time, because we're all being called to stay home. But there are a myriad of ways in which people, I mean, all of these people making masks for the people in the front lines. I mean, I mean, I sob sometimes. I have to like balance, like I said, I have to balance the news with like these stories of humans just showing up in their best selves.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sam, you're doing something similar too here in Central PA with your COVID-19 response team. So you're doing a lot of food deliveries as well. Can you talk to us about that? Let everybody know what you're doing.
Yeah. So going back a little bit, in 2017, I ran the Free Market, which was in York County. We connected low-income and homeless people with food, clothing, hygiene products, any kind of basic necessity that people needed. And mutual aid has always been something that I've been very passionate about. So kind of like Chun said, as being a young person and someone who spends so much time on social media, I was trying to think of a way that I could use social media to kind of connect the people who really need these kinds of things with those things. So we started an organization that basically went and picked stuff up, donations up from people, and then we would host pop-up markets, and we would have people come to the markets and just take whatever they needed for free. We would also do like home deliveries and stuff, but that was something that in this area, I think a lot of people, we tend to be wasteful, and we have a lot of things that we don't need, and we have a lot of extras of things. But people are busy, and oftentimes people don't want to go out of their way to take donations to a drop-off point. So we kind of were able to figure out that that was an area that was really needed. So we had a bunch of helpers in the area who went around and picked up the stuff and then dispersed it to the people who were in need. We felt like there was kind of just like these big stockpiles of stuff sitting around that nobody needed, and then there were all these people who were in need, so we were kind of like, how can we be the people who kind of like get those things together? We actually earlier in end of 2019, the free market, rather than just doing pop-up shops, was actually taken over, and they have like a brick and mortar now. So they have a permanent location that people can come to every day of the week, and people can drop stuff off every day of the week. So through doing that, I feel like I learned a lot about how to kind of market and ask for donations and get people to give me money for things that people need over social media. But then I also learned a lot about mutual aid and you know, how to identify areas that there are people in need, and how to reach out to them and really connect them with the things that they need. So I feel like I can't even keep track of time anymore, but I want to say 3 weeks ago, we decided that obviously right now there is a huge need. People are losing their jobs, and they don't know how they're going to put food on the table. Even if you apply for unemployment, that could be weeks until you see any money. Self-employed people still can't apply for unemployment. So we decided that we were going to provide grocery delivery service for elderly people, high-risk people, people who are just scared to leave their house. So we do, if somebody can pay for their groceries, or if they can make some kind of small donation towards them, we do that. But then we also do food care packages. So if somebody is really in a time of crisis and can't afford food, and they can't put food on their table for their family, we have donors who give us money. And then I think that I'm very good at bargain shopping. So we go out, we go to the grocery store, we get a bunch of stuff in bulk, and then we make up these food care packages that have like enough for like a week, 2 weeks of food in them. And then beyond that, we also supply people with cleaning products, hygiene products. I have thousands of feminine products that were donated from people in the community. And we also, on top of doing all of that, are trying to reach out to people who maybe wouldn't see this stuff on social media. We know one of the biggest problems right now is that there is just so much information online. People maybe aren't online at all, so they're not seeing any of these ways that they can get help, or they are online and they're just overwhelmed by the massive amount of information. So we have created a nice community resource document that breaks everything down into sections and has everything from our area all in one place, so that people don't feel so overwhelmed when they're looking for something specific. And we've kind of converted the community resource document into a nice little flyer. The flyer has our like aid request form link on it, and then our volunteer link on it. So we have been doing no contact flyer drops throughout a bunch of locations in like 4 different counties. We've been partnering with restaurants to actually hand out our flyer when they're doing deliveries. So we're really hoping that we can get the information to people who might not know like there are resources out there to help them.
Yeah.
You
And
are amazing.
You're amazing.
Amazing. I'm just like listening to you, just like I'm overwhelmed. That's insane. That's incredible. And how organized you are is remarkable.
I agree.
Yeah. Well, I'm lucky because we have such a great, like you guys were saying, especially in a time of crisis, I think community really comes together. But I've been organizing this area for the past 5 years, so I'm really, really lucky to have a good base of volunteers and of people who I know when they're called upon, they will do it.
And how are you doing the deliveries and staying safe? I mean, Chun, I don't know if you can say he's lucky enough to have had the virus. I would not say that, but at least he knows, you know, at this point, he's not gonna get it again. But how are you staying safe, you know, making the deliveries and doing the shopping?
Yeah. So that is something that it's tough. Especially being someone who has provided a lot of mutual aid in the past. It's kind of like we had to, there's a fine line between like not wanting to completely reinvent the wheel, but also wanting to keep people safe, and wanting to be able to help all of these people who clearly are in need right now. So we decided from the very beginning that we were going to try to keep the amount of like in-person helpers small. I do pretty much everything from my house, and then I have area leaders who do they kind of cover their area, so they do like pretty much everything from their homes.
Okay.
So there's not a lot of like I'm not inviting anyone into my house to like come pick stuff up. We're doing no contact porch drop-offs. Everyone wears PPE, so we have masks, we have gloves. We actually just a few days ago got a ton of hand sanitizer donated. So we have that for everybody. Yeah, we have updated, we're doing like a distribution schedule now. So we have specific days of the week that we go out and that we do the drop-offs, and we only have, we keep it to 1 day a week that we do the grocery shopping. So on top of being safe, we also, we want to make sure that we ourselves are safe and the people that we're delivering to are safe, but we also want to make sure that the people like at the grocery stores are safe and that we're not going to the grocery store every single day, because that's just unnecessary.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chun, if there were people that, because I have, you know, people from all over that'll come across this video. So if people want to emulate what you're doing and make sandwiches for people that are at risk, maybe it's not just for the homeless, you know, if they live in an area where they don't have a big homeless population, but still want to do something and make meals for people, how would you suggest that they do that safely? Like how, if they are going out and helping the homeless, how can they keep themselves safe if they're doing, you know, hand delivering this type of thing to other people? What would you suggest?
I would suggest everything that Sam just said. I mean, as far as you know, not only protecting yourself, but also protecting these vulnerable populations, is to like wear the gloves, wear the masks. I have friends who went out, they made sandwiches and wrote notes and did all of like the love part too, not just like delivering supplies. But they were obviously afraid. They didn't want to like have too much contact or interaction. They didn't know, you know, if they'd been exposed, or they didn't want to expose other people, or obviously be exposed themselves. So they wore masks, they wore gloves, and then they, you know, put things on tables, put things like just kept a distance, as much possible distance, while still treating somebody like a human being. I mean, some of the people experiencing homelessness that I've been bringing food to didn't even know what was going on. Everything just shut down in New York City, and they don't really have access to news. So they see people walking around with masks. They're like, what is happening? And so like I was able to have a conversation from a distance.
Yeah.
You know, lots of parents have kids at home right now, so the kids can make cards and send them to the senior centers for our grandmas and grandpas, so that they feel less alone and they have something to put on their mirror or against their wall or on their nightstand. I mean, you really, again, you have to be creative. I don't know if I told this, but I have a friend in Rhode Island who is looking for something to do. And he is now a phone pen pal with seniors at a senior center. And so you just have to, I mean, I would say be as local as possible, and then get as creative as possible while keeping as safe as possible. So those are the three things. But everything that Sam was talking about as far as like what she's doing to mitigate any exposure and also keep everyone that she's taking care of safe are really like the gold standard right now for what we have to deal with. I mean, it's kind of an unprecedented time, again, in that like the people who are called to help, who normally are like, you know, on the front lines, have to kind of like take a step back, and we have to reevaluate how we help in this situation. Yeah,
absolutely. And Sam, if people want to volunteer to, you know, to help you from their kitchen, or even Chun, because I know a lot of people in New York City, if they want to pitch in and help you or, you know, get you supplies, how can people do that? Sam, do you have like a sign up? You said you had a sign up sheet if people need it. How do they access that?
Yeah, so I can post it in the comments when this is posted on Facebook.
Okay.
But we have a Facebook group, which obviously not everyone's on Facebook, but that is one easy way to find all of those resources. They're right in the pinned post at the top. The group is called South Central COVID-19 Response Group. And then we also, because we are doing flyer drops and all that kind of stuff, partnering with restaurants, all of that information is also on our flyers.
Okay.
Something else we're doing, we are sending mass texts to people in all of the counties that we're kind of servicing. So our hope is that, like, if someone maybe isn't on Facebook, maybe they'll somehow come across the flyer.
That's awesome. I can also put the flyer in the comments too if you want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And Chun, how would people get in touch with you if they want to help?
Well, first, before I say that, I just have to say, not only am I a Harry Potter fan, but I'm also a Star Wars fan. And the highest compliment I have is to call someone a Jedi. Sam, I don't even know what world you are from, but like the fact that I don't know how to pin something on top of Facebook, let alone do mass texts and flyers. Like you're remarkable in everything that you do, not just obviously the organizational stuff, but
I agree. I'll second that.
Thank you.
All of this. Yeah, so for right now, I'm only going out with people who, or making sandwiches with people who have already tested positive and have fully recovered, just to make sure to protect the people. I obviously don't want to be part of the problem.
Right.
People have been donating on the GoFundMe, on Venmo. People have been sending, you know, my entire room has been taken over by this project, but these little kids wrote notes to put in the sandwich bags, and they like drew little things. So people are getting like really creative and getting their families involved. And so I don't if you don't have money, like I don't want you to do anything that you can't do.
Sure.
But there are ways in which to show up for people who are really struggling through this without spending a lot of money.
Yeah, agreed. And there are definitely ways. I know, Sam, can you tell everybody, I know it's not your project, but you shared the post a couple days ago about the giving tree, which I was like, I love that idea. Do you know who's doing that, or can you tell us about it? Because I really don't know anything more about it than the picture I saw.
Yeah, I don't know a ton about it either, but happy to share because it's a really wonderful effort. One of my friends, who is an organizer also and has been super helpful with the COVID-19 response, actually sent me a picture of it because I think it's his neighbor. But they are people, I'm not quite sure why they had so many N95 masks. I know they had a sign up saying why. I think it was because the wife paints or something for a living, or she did something that she needed masks pretty regularly. So these people just kind of had a stockpile of the N95 masks and of other PPE that healthcare professionals could use. And in our area, healthcare professionals don't have enough of that stuff, and they're really, really struggling, and they're being put at really high risk. So these people have this huge tree out in the front of their yard, and they turned it into a giving tree and have put PPE like masks and gloves other things, I'm not quite sure what else is on there, in little plastic bags, and hung it all across the tree. And to my knowledge, it has been going for like a week and a half, and I think some people are adding stuff to it, so it's a really nice show of community support.
Yeah, and if you see the picture, it looks like a Christmas tree. It's a big giant pine tree in their yard, and there's just all these little ornaments hanging on it, but instead of ornaments, it's like masks and gloves and hand sanitizer. It's like the most amazing thing. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do this, because people, it's like you can sit at home and just rack your brain, like, what can I do? And then you see somebody doing things like that, or you and Chun, it's like, oh, I can do that. I would have never thought of it, but now that I know it, I can do that.
People are so creative.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, because I know we talked earlier about how we've had to kind of just like completely transition how we were doing mutual aid before, because we can't do large gatherings anymore, and that's kind of the typical way that we would get stuff to people. But it's interesting because I don't really consider myself very creative of a person. I'm very type A, so I'm like, I know all the organizational stuff and I know how to get things to people, but then when I see stuff like that, there really are so many ways that anybody can help and not have to get in close contact with other people.
Yeah, and right now there's a lot of people like the two of you, but also organizations that can use donations that are out there helping people. You can give blood. I know there's a shortage of blood, with people having to stay at home. So you can go to the Red Cross's website. It's www.redcrossblood.org. Or you can call them 1-800-RED CROSS to see where the nearest blood donation center is to you. They're doing it by appointment only, so that people are still able to keep their distance. Sorry, somebody just flashed a message about our thing. But the food banks need donations. The food banks need volunteers. Like you said, everybody's making masks at home, which is awesome. And you can give those to people or start your own giving tree, or hand them into organizations that then are on the front lines with people who need it. Another way is, like, just if you're going to the grocery store for your own food, call some of your neighbors that are in close proximity and say, hey, I'm going already, right? So I'm already out there. There's no point for all of us to do it. Do you want me to pick anything up for you? And just drop it on their porch. I have a lot of older neighbors. I live in an older neighborhood, and you want to make sure that you're not making them feel like they are feeble or old or can't do it for themselves, right? You want to make sure you frame it in the proper way. Just like, hey, I'm already doing this, I might as well do it for both of us, because like Chun was saying, you still want to make sure that people have their dignity and have their self-respect and feel good about themselves while you're helping them, because you don't ever want people to feel like they're less than what they are, right? We want to make sure we're building everybody up as we go. And if you're at the grocery store, please don't buy 100 rolls of toilet paper. You don't need it.
Yeah.
I am so baffled by this. I just can't even tell you, but just buy what you need, because, they're working hard, stocking those shelves and making sure that there's something there for everybody. So just take what you need, wear a mask. I wore my mask yesterday for the first time. I felt super silly. I have to admit it. I'm sure a lot of other people are feeling kind of silly when they put theirs on too, but it's not about that. It's about the community, because we really are all in this together.
Another thing about the masks is that, obviously in New York City, we're being hit really hard here. And, originally we were told it was like the coughing and the sneezing, that it was like kind of a droplet thing. Yeah. But it's way more airborne than that. It's way more contagious than we originally thought. And I know so many people who are sick right now. So if New York can be, you know, an example to other parts of the country, you know, as far as like, please wear your mask, like, please take care of yourself. You know, self-care is super important as well. Like these are unprecedented times. Like none of us in our lifetimes have not been through anything like this. And so to just be gentle with yourself, whatever like help as much as you can, but also like know when to like put the oxygen mask on you, and definitely put the mask on you when you're going outside,
Yeah.
even if it feels silly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's why I say that, because like I don't feel good about the fact that I felt silly, but I'm sure other people are feeling that way. And you know, it's just important that we push through that and do it. And if you need help, that's the other thing. Just ask for it. There's no shame in needing help in circumstances like this, whether it's, you know, just someone to talk to or someone to go get your groceries, or you need some sort of any other help, you know, financial help, rent help. Ask for help, because there are tons of people out there that want to help. And it doesn't make you any less of a person if you need help right now, because we're all in the same boat. And just please make the call. Please reach out to somebody. Don't suffer alone when you don't have to, when there's so many amazing people out there willing to reach out their hand and catch you. So, you know, make sure you do that.
Can I say one last thing?
Absolutely.
I just want to thank you for how you move through the world. I think that politics are kind of very crazy right now, and I think that for me, you really demonstrate like everything that's right with democracy and putting politics aside and just like taking care of human beings and making sure that people have the information that they need, that they feel supported. The fact that you're doing this, you know, on a Wednesday, I think, I think that I knew that you were amazing 2 years ago, and I mean that has held true through it. So thank you so much for what you do for your community and for this country, and for anybody who sees this. Just know you're not alone, and that there are people out there who are trying to support you. And if you need anything, just reach out to us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I think that well, that goes both ways. But I think we have somebody that has a question. Kathy, did you have a question or want to comment?
No, I just had a comment.
Okay.
Even though people can't leave their home or shouldn't be leaving their homes that much, here in Annville, they're doing an Easter egg hunt, which I think is awesome. They're putting Easter eggs in their windows, like drawing Easter eggs or big fat Easter eggs or any kind of an Easter egg to put it in your window that can be seen by a car. And then the parents who feel comfortable are putting their kids in the car and driving around and seeing who can find the most Easter eggs. And I just thought it was funny and thought a cool thing to do with your kids.
That's amazing, actually. I love that.
Yeah, I did too.
I was thinking too today, I had watched a video about there's this World War II vet, and he was on his porch and he was dancing to Justin Timberlake. And I thought, you know, how cool would that be if you actually lived in a community or a development where people were fairly close to each other, and you just had like a big dance party one night, you know, where everybody's out on their own lawns doing the social distancing, but just having like a dance party or just something, some way to like connect with other people and have fun and just dust off the cobwebs of everything that's going on. So,
right.
Yeah, that's an amazing, amazing way.
Yeah, I thought the Easter egg thing was pretty cool.
Yeah. And I'm going to unmute. Hang on a second.
Hi there.
Hi, how are you?
Hi there, I'm good. My name is Mally, and I'm the field director for Gary Wegman for Congress. He's running in our 9th district here. And we want to say thank you very much for doing this. We've been trying to sit in on the town halls of as many of the House and Senate candidates within our district as possible. And I would love to be able to reach out to all 3 of you to see like what we can do to support the efforts that you're having. So thank you very much for doing this to everybody that's out there. And thanks for making the world a better place.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, that's what this one was all about. Just getting people together, brainstorming and inspiring people, and just kind of spreading the love, because it's a little dark right now. So there's a lot of light if you look for it. And I'm honored to know Chun and Sam and everything that they're doing. I'm just so grateful for you two. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Patty.
Having us.
Absolutely. All right, everybody have a great day, and thanks for joining us, and do your part, everybody, whatever way that looks. Just reach out to somebody today and tell them you love them. So have a good one. Thank you.